Hi, in the previous video, we talked about normalization and denormalization. So in this lesson, we are going to look at fact and dimension tables. What are fact and dimension tables? So dimension tables are tables that describes the attributes related to the business. While the fact table is a table that keeps transactions. Let's quickly look at the key differences between facts and dimension table. So let's look at the first difference. For dimension, it keeps business attributes. For example, things like product, location, customer, and all of that. The description of these business attributes, that is what dimension table keeps. While the fact table keeps transactional data. So we can say loan sales, mobile transactions, and revenues. So those are facts. So a thing you have to know about fact and dimension. So fact changes more frequently compared to dimension. So a dimension might take months, weeks, months, year to change, while facts change per second. The frequency of change is very high in the fact table compared to dimension table. So dimension tables describe the facts. For example, the region where a transaction was carried out, the customer who carried out that transaction, and the type of transaction which the customer carried out. So that is also a dimension that describes the facts. So while for fact tables, it contains facts, it contains the transactions themselves, sometimes aggregated. So summing the numbers, the transaction itself, how it occurs, that is what is in the fact table. So you can also use the dimension table. You can use the dimension table to filter or group the facts. Filter or group the dimensions. Filter or group the dimensions like filter or group the transactions like the region where the transaction is appearing, group into different kind of regions or group into different kind of transaction types. Why the facts just contain the aggregates and the numbers. So the fact contains more column. The fact tables contains more columns. More columns. Yeah. Sorry. The fact tables contain smaller columns, not more columns. Because it contains smaller columns than larger rows, more rows. So fact can have, if it's in a big organization, it can have more of 30 million rows, 40 million rows, 50 million rows. While the dimension table has smaller rows, maybe like 200, sometimes it may be like as low as 50 rows, because it contains only one unique identifier per business attribute. For example, for let me say a product has a product code, then it has the name that describes that code, then maybe it now has a category that falls under. Let me say, for example, in the banking sector, you have a product code that says this is a type of savings account, maybe savings account type 1. That is the code. So the code can be, let me say something like XX002. That is the code. The description can be savings account type 1, while the category savings account. We can have XX02, savings account type 2, savings account. So the lowest granular form is what it appears in the dimension table once, while on the fact table it can appear multiple times because different customers buy different products. Right. So the other one is that, okay, this is what I just described. It contains only the lowest granular form and it appears only once. That is, on the dimension table, it's called the primary key, while on the fact table, that unique identifier on the dimension table is called the foreign key in the fact table because it appears more than one time. So it appears more than once because why? Different customer buy different products. So let me just quickly take you to what an ideal arrangement of a fact and a dimension table in a BI project. So now we have this arrangement. We have the product subtype, the product type, the transactions, date, location, and customer. So now, typically, we call this, you can see one dimension like product subtype connecting to product type. So any model where we see a dimension connecting a dimension is called a snowflake schema. So this is not so ideal for a BI project. So it's better we maximize, just maximize what we can to make our model work together properly. So in this case, what I can do here is to combine this product subtype with product type, because they will have the same a unique identifier, which is like a product key that we can use to combine these two. So the customer and the location. So if I connect location to the transactions table directly, and also I'm analyzing customer by location, is it that will bring some conflict? Is it the location where the transaction was carried out, or the location, for example, where the customer onboarded the first time? So because of this, to avoid this kind of confusion, so I prefer to merge this location with the customer data, so that the customer you will know which location is for what, whether it's the location in transaction is happened, or the location where the customer onboarded the first time. So this is the ideal model. Let me bring you here a bit. This is Snowflake. This is the ideal model. So this ideal model now, combining those two products, I get my product. One product connected to transaction, one customer table that also has location in it connected to transaction, and a date table connected to transaction. So this is just a description of what fact and dimension table is, and also data modeling on Power BI. So with this, I will see you in the next lesson where we are going to properly apply this on our project. Thanks for watching once more. See you in the next lesson.